He just keeps making history, and now it's his history that's making news. We have learned that the new pontiff, Pope Leo XIV, descended from Creole people of color from New Orleans. ABC News has actually obtained records and photos of the groundbreaking discovery that shows how the first American Pope's family tree reflects the complex racial history of our country. Joining me now is the genealogist who worked on this discovery, Chris Smothers. Chris, it is so great to see you. Tell me what inspired you to dive into this research in the first place.
Yes, it's so much to talk about. I first learned about this discovery through Jerry Honore, a fellow colleague and genealogist based out of the Historic New Orleans collection in Louisiana. And I saw this post and I really felt convicted to go in deeper into these records and begin to explore and peer through to really see what we could confirm through the documentation. And in that process, I began to unravel kind of the seeds of this truth-telling process through these historical records and looked at where the truth was almost omitted in these historical documents. And this highlighted a very complex, nuanced understanding of this family overall.
Amazing that you got the tip from the raging Cajun, General Russell Honore. So, of course, knows about the history of the people of New Orleans. I love that. So, explain for folks why the Pope's family would mark down their race as white after migrating to Chicago in 1920. Put the history into perspective for us, Chris.
Sure. So there was a collection of, free people of color who migrated all over the United States during the Great Migration. And I, you know, looking through these records, one could kind of infer that it looks like an identity crisis, but I see it as a survival strategy. In this critical point where race is becoming more charged after the passing of the 13th Amendment, it's clear that the family really was trying to navigate economic and social mobility during the early 20th century when they moved to Chicago and passed for white.
Wow. So, how much of the Pope's background is a representation, you think, just of the American story as we learn this and start talking about this and discover so much about him that we didn't know?
That's such a layered question. I think that the reality is that Black Catholicism is not a new phenomenon, and it's clear that the Pope's maternal lineage has been rooted in Black Catholicism. I hope this opens up an opportunity to correct historical records, to acknowledge and really reckon with the longer history of how African descendant people were introduced to the faith and really hold space for the collective power we have to really engage these historical records that hold those secrets of the past.
And people should, I have a feeling we're going to be talking a lot about this more. I'm thinking of St. Catherine Drexel, the white nun who traveled across the country and saw how blacks and Native Americans were being treated and created schools like Xavier there in New Orleans, and even the school where Lytle Hampton learned how to play the drums through the nuns in Catholic school in Chicago. I mean, it's all coming back together, this rich history, and to find the Pope tied to this rich Black Catholic history is so incredible. And it tells us a lot just about Black history in America and what more we need to learn about this experience. And this has got to be significant for Black Americans, Chris, as this broke yesterday and we're all talking about it. What does it mean to you?
My ancestors were personally descendant of people who were missionaries of the Society of Jesus, and it's a very personal thing. And to reckon with this history truly is culminating. And I feel that we're in a space in public history where we are really beginning to confront the nuances and the realities of this history. I'm someone who is both descendant of, people who owned enslaved people and then those who were enslaved. And the same is true for Pope Leo. And so I think that we're in this space now where we can begin to have these conversations with more open dialogue so that we can continue to expand and correct historical narrative and atone for the historical erasure of this very nuanced and complex history.
A complex history of free and enslaved that now includes the Holy Father's family, which is just incredible. Chris Smothers, so appreciate your time and your research. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
For more on the new American Pope, you can see that special on 2020 tonight, 9 p.m., 8 Central, right here on ABC.